I want to welcome you all to Tech and Tell. This is Readworks Revisited, Part 1. And I am pleased to have Stella Villa from Grayson College with us today. And in the co-pilot seat, helping me out, is Dr. Olga Escalmia. And I want to thank her so much for being here. So at this time, I would like to introduce Stella Villa. Stella Villa is an ESL instructor for Grayson College. She has held a variety of roles in adult education and literacy, including her current position as an ESL instructor, but she has also helped with student intake and registration, testing students, and teaching adult basic education classes. Coupled with a business and master's degree, this professional educator combines her passions for literacy, public speaking, and helping the students she serves. She also uses her service leader mindset to consult for nonprofits and develop projects close to her heart. Currently, she uses Readworks almost every day in her multi-level ESL classes, and that is why she is here. Welcome, Stella.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Welcome, everyone, to Readworks Revisited Part 1. This will be an interactive session with opportunities to ask questions prompted by the question mark and opportunities to explore and participate. That said, I'm going to turn off my video and we will continue. So getting to know each other, you are here because of a piqued interest in a tool that engages students and improves reading comprehension. Well, whether or not you have used Readworks or not, if you have used Readworks before, I'm here to share with you some new features. And if you have not, then welcome newbies. So let's talk about the 3 W's of Readworks. What is Readworks? Why use it? And how can we use it? Readworks is a free resource available to teachers, parents, and students. It's a collection of curated nonfiction and literary articles suitable for grades K through 12, but as we talked about, I use them for my adult students as well. Readworks is wonderful in differentiating to enhance student learning, and it's really super for multi-level differentiation. Why use Readworks? Readworks has articles that engage students. The articles are high quality, high interest, authentic texts. Readworks builds background knowledge, which builds schema, and Readworks recognizes students as individuals. In addition, Readworks offers reflection time and sharing, both parts of metacognition. How can we use Readworks? We can assign it, we can print it, or we can project it. That said, let's talk about the objectives for today. We're going to learn the various content available in Readworks, learn the power of different filters, learn the many supports for differentiation, and talk about the kinds of activities to enhance reading comprehension. So let's begin our tour by creating an account. I'd like you to go to https://readworks.org. Or if you already have an account, you can just get into your account. You have 2 options. You can do the sign up here, or you can do the sign up here. Your next screenshot will look like this. You'll put in your first name, your last name, your email address where you want your account, and your password. And then you'll just click Get Started. When you go back into Readworks, you will log in your email address, your password, and then hit Login. So if anyone has any questions.
So I wanted to let you know too, Stella, that you have a great group. We've got people from Grayson, people from Weatherford, people from Dallas Community College, Bastrop, Rose Anderson's from Bastrop, Southwest Texas Junior College. Daryl, thank you. So you've got a good group of across Texas.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome,
Tarrant
everyone.
County, Colleen. So I wanted to get you an idea of the breadth of people that have joined you today.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone taking their time to join us. Let me know if we need a little bit more time.
All right. How's everyone doing? Go ahead and let us know if we can continue in the chat pod. Oh, I think Rose unmuted. Rose, did you have a question?
Yes, I was gonna ask, okay, now do we have to go ahead and sign up right now?
You do not, Rose, just at your time. Right, Stella, correct me. You have to create an account in order to access all the materials, right?
Right. But you can follow along with me. That's fine.
Okay.
And I think everyone else is good to go. I think we can keep going, Stella.
And we will go ahead. So this is what the home page is going to look like. Okay, if you are on your own account, this is the home page. You'll see that we have find content, my list, assignments in progress, and class administration. For today's session, we're going to focus on finding content. So here are the 4 types of content available through Readworks. We have reading passages, ebooks that go along with the reading passages, article a day articles, which also include ELL collections, which are wonderful for the English language learner, and finally the paired texts. I will go over each of these content areas, beginning with reading passages. When I go to the live site, you will see that I'm going to share with you in the teacher view. You'll see a detailed information that has lexile levels and word counts and genre and a lot of information for the teacher. You will see the option to have the passage read aloud. You can modulate the speed. You'll notice that there are standards listed. Now, these are the Common Core standards, but the Texas AEL standards are very similar. We have vocabulary words, and we have the bookmark that I'm going to show you how to share that or keep that in your My List. And then finally, we have the question set to check the comprehension. And since ebooks go along with reading passages, I'm going to share with you that ebooks are the illustrated book of the passage. It reads just like a tangible book by advancing the arrows. We have options to hear the text read aloud by sections or by sentences in many of the texts. And the comprehension check, again, is the question set. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go to the live site so that we can begin talking about content. And there is our live site. Notice that there's nothing shared right now. Nothing has been selected. But when I choose reading passages, I want you to see that over here, we have at least close to 5,000 different kinds of articles. Notice that there are blue flags here. And as I scroll down, there are articles that do not have the blue flag. Okay. And this is how we bookmark. When we want to share it with our list, my list, you simply click on it and it says save to my list. Simply click on it. Look for Monument for Peace. All right, we just clicked on it. Monument for Peace. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to go to my list. I'm going to click on my list. And we should see in a minute, Monument for Peace. And there it is. Okay. We can choose to assign it here, or we can remove it from my list. If I go back, I can also scroll down and deselect it there. All right. So again, I want us to look at, let's just go ahead and look at one that we've been working on. And I've done this with my classes, Asian, American, and Pacific Islander month. We have Li Bing. Okay. Notice that I've added it to my list. Okay. What I want you to see is that there is a synopsis for this article. And as I scroll down, there's a synopsis for the next one. And some of the information is brief, just kind of a shell of information. As I scroll back up, I want you to notice that here, just in looking at this, you can see that it is a 3rd grade level article. It has 780, it's a 780 Lexile level, which is the approximate reading level. It has 493 words. The genre is nonfiction, and it comes with 1 question set. When we click on it, and it's also under technology and engineering, which is about solving problems. So when we click on it, let's look at the title, Li Bing and the Flooding. Okay. Notice underneath it, we have the word passage, and that identifies the kind of content it is. I want to move across from the title and draw your attention to these call to action buttons. We have assign, we have print, and we have project. And then we have my list. Okay. Let's look at the teacher view. Here's the information that I was talking about in the details. You can see that it's a science and technology and engineering. It's about social emotional learning, and it focuses on solving problems. If I scroll down a little bit more, you see that there are vocabulary words. And if I scroll down a little farther, you can see that these are the Common Core content standards, and then even more related articles. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to share with you the way that we like to share this information with the students, because they don't necessarily need to see all these details. And working with adults, they don't necessarily have to see that it's a 3rd grade level. This could be an introduction into a bigger topic of problem solving. So what I do is I go to the projection mode. And now it's a nice clean version of the reading passage. And as I scroll through, well, first we'll look at the top. You have the option to play.
Li Bing and the Flooding by Vinnie Rotondaro. A very long time ago, there were people who lived along a river in China.
You have options of an audio, and sometimes it's a synthetic voice, and sometimes it's a real person. You have the opportunity to modulate the speed. You can go slower or you can go faster, depending on whether or not your student wants to do that. Okay. I want to draw your attention to this. These bold blue words are the vocabulary words. And if we tap on them, I'm going to move this over a little bit. If we tap on them, you'll notice we have the definition, that we have the option with this speaker. You can play it.
Overflow.
I love that Readworks really addresses just the different kinds of learning styles. You can see it, you can hear it, you can manipulate. Here in blue is how it's used in the text. And if it's available, there are Spanish and Chinese cognates for this word. And you also have different forms of this word. Let me go through another one. And I want to share this with you. Let's go ahead, and here's another one that we used for Women's History Month. Okay, fight for women's suffrage. Notice again, you have the shell of information. You have this synopsis. You can choose to bookmark it. If I scroll down, you'll see that there are other articles with a synopsis included. But this is the one that we worked on. So I'm going to tap on it. Here are the details that the teacher has. It's a social studies article dealing with civics and government and U.S. history. Of course, we know that that is our content standards 3.0. Here is the grade level, the word count, the approximate reading level, and the genre, the vocabulary, and the standards. And what I want to do is I want to go to the third call to action button, hit projection mode. We'll just click off that. And notice this is our nice clean version of this article. So what I want to do is I want to show you that it's also an ebook. And this is an illustrated book for the text. And this particular one, you can play it.
For a long time, women in the United States did not have the same rights as men. For example, for many years, women did not have suffrage or the right to vote.
Okay. So I want to go through this one, and then I'm going back to Lee Bean to show you that sometimes the reading passages and the ebooks have more to offer. And I just got lucky with this. I really didn't know that it had this at the beginning, but let me go ahead and show this to you. Let's see, go back to Lee Bean. When I go back to Lee Bean, you'll notice that it's also an ebook. So when I click on it and I project it, I'm going to scroll down. Here's the arrow to advance it. And what's special about this one is notice that there are two options. There's an option with a white triangle, and there's an option with a yellow triangle. When I hit the white triangle, it will read the text aloud by paragraph.
A very long time ago, there were people who lived along a river in China. The river was named the Mean River.
When I click on the yellow triangle, it will highlight sentence by sentence.
There was a problem with the Mean River. The people who lived along it were scared of it because it would overflow. This happened once a year, every year.
So you can see that this is helping our striving student, and it can also help with our student that is needing to go a little bit faster. Okay. So I'm going to pause here and go back to the PowerPoint. Let's look at that.
And Stella, for everybody not familiar with Lexile levels, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post a chart that you can download, everybody, to see what the grade level is, the correlation with Lexile levels, in case you're interested. Lexile is just another way. So I went to lexile.com and they had a chart, so I'm going to post that in there.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Stella.
Okay. So we've gone over the reading passage and we've gone over ebooks. If you have any questions, please ask. You can go ahead and unmute yourself, or if you choose to ask in the chat pod, that's fine also. And my question for you is, why do you think ebooks would benefit students? So I'll give you some time to think about that. And Anne-Marie, do we have any questions?
I think I'm going to wait to see. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay to come in. I did have one come in to me via private chat message. And I think this is a great question. I saw that she asked if there was where there was an option to print the article, but also the vocabulary. Are there vocabulary questions, or are there some type of question sets and answer keys available?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. And as we go through this session, I'm going to break down that information. Thank you for asking that.
Perfect, perfect. And Catherine says students are able to hear the sentence underlined. Yes, I love that, Catherine. And the text to speech is a great feature. How about everyone else? That and no questions so far, Stella.
Hi,
Okay.
my name is Lily. I have a question.
Oh, please go ahead.
I was wondering, when they are able to hear the sentence that's underlined, are they able to pause it or stop it, or rewind and re-listen to that one sentence?
Yes, they definitely can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question as well. This is Rose Marshall.
Hello.
Okay, so this is mainly on the computer. I'm teaching I'm a new teacher here, so I will be teaching the ESL in Smithville. So would they have access to computers? I mean, how would they know about this if they don't have the computer?
They can also access this by telephone.
Oh, on their cell phone. Mm-hmm.
And Rose, do they have computers at home, or is there a lab possibly at the school where they could access Readworks? Because Stella's gonna, right, Stella, you're gonna go into the student view, right?
I am going to go to the student view, yes.
So Rose, is that a possibility of maybe, is there a bank of computers somewhere on campus that they
See,
can?
I don't know. It's my first year. So,
Okay.
yes,
Maybe.
I have no idea.
Okay. Maybe look and see, possibly,
Mhm.
and see.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is Lily again. I'm just wondering, do the students have to create, is it better if they create their own, login and what have you, their own account, and then they're able to, log in from home or from their phone? Or is it something that I just projected on the screen in the classroom and they can go in from the classroom computers only?
I love that you all are just thinking ahead. That's so wonderful. That is going to be covered in part 2.
Okay, thank you.
How to have the student come into the classroom and what the different options are. Yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
And you've had some great comments come in. Gerald says it gives students the opportunity to practice reading and comprehension skills in a safe environment.
The next content area, which is the article a day, has the purpose outlined for our students, which is wonderful. We always want to start off with what do we want the students to do and what do we want them to know? So words are where humans store knowledge. They will build knowledge by reading these articles, and they will increase their vocabulary, improve reading stamina, and increase reading enjoyment. And for those of you that have used Readworks before, this is a new feature that they've included, the scope and the sequence, which is great for lesson planning because that will give you quite a boost into what to have for the next 4 weeks. It is a collection of specifically grouped articles for each month, and you can do it by topic or you can do it by vocabulary. You can select it by grade level, and the comprehension check for this is going to be when the students access their book of knowledge. And I encourage them to write at least 3 notes, something that they learned, something that they wondered about, and something that they want to share with the whole class. Okay. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and go to the live site for article a day. And I do want to share this from experience that when you move throughout this website, remember to deselect what you have in there, or else it may come up and say, we can't find that. So start off with a clean slate and then go to your next selection. Just from me to you so that you don't get frustrated or anything. Okay, so here is the article a day. Notice that there are 546 different items. Okay, here is in the blue box, you can see that it is the purpose. It is a 10-minute daily routine that dramatically increases your students' background knowledge, vocabulary, and stamina. And so if I go through here, and let's just look at one. Oh, as I scroll down, let me go ahead and do this first. You can see just the shell information. Okay. But if I go up and I'm going to include U.S. laws and government, okay? So you can see that there are close to 260 items just looking for U.S. laws. And if we scroll through here, you will notice that article a day also includes a synopsis of the article set. Okay, and again, here is your blue flag. If you want to, let's say you're interested in this, you just click on it and it's added to my list, or you deselect it and it's not. So if we go into U.S. laws and government, this is what we are looking at here. Here is our title, U.S. laws and government. Okay, here are call to action buttons. Somebody mentioned about printing. There's our second one for printing. This area here tells you the articles that are in the set, and the set is usually 4 or more articles having to do with U.S. laws and government. Okay. Over here is the information about the details. And as you scroll through, I like to either have my students read this purpose aloud, or I read it, or when they're working in partners, they can read it. Here are the vocabulary words. Again, if we tap on them, move this over a little bit. Okay. You can see it has the same information as in the reading passages. Here's the Spanish cognate and the Chinese cognate. At this time, those are the languages available for vocabulary translation for the cognates. A clean version of this, I want to hit the screen. And this is what US Who Makes the Laws. Okay. I want to go back to our PowerPoint, and I want to ask you if you have any questions, and also if you could answer in the chat pod, how would you use article a day in your classrooms?
Okay, I want to go back a little bit because we had some great comments from participants saying that, you know, it's a great option for students to learn in a safe environment. Daryl said that. And Nancy had a question, does it tell the exact lexile for each article and not just the range, or is it only a range? So that was a question I wanted you to, that was a great question.
That is a great question. For the articles, they do have the particular article that you select. It does have that lexile level that is, now lexile levels are not exact, but when it says 750 lexile, that is what the article is. Great.
So sometimes it's a range and sometimes it's a specific lexile, right? Depending on the article.
Depending on the article. And
Okay.
as I go through and I show you about the different filters, thank you for that question. As we go through the different filters, I will show you about the filter of the lexile level, and we can talk about that.
Okay, and then you had some answers to your question. Lilia says she's going to use it for EL Civics, excuse me. And Jessie says for my ELA, English Language Arts students and reading assignments. And Rose, I had posted that you may want to think about the print option to share the articles with your students and then present, you know, use the present feature in class if you're unsure of computers. So I wanted to share that with you. Oh, and then Daryl says it will be good to use in GED Civics. Civics is 50% of the GED Social Studies test. Good point. For example, US laws and government.
Absolutely. I love all the participation, and you can include this in a lot of different ways in your classes. Sometimes I use this as an introduction, just as they kind of ease into class. I'll have them read an article a day, or sometimes I use it as an exit ticket right before they leave. So there are a lot of different ways to use it. Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
I don't see any, so I think we can continue. If I miss one, we'll catch it on the backside. But I did want to share that Olga put, I'm going to copy in the chat pod, that emergency broadband benefit program provides discounts toward eligible households for the purchases of laptops. And I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the chat pod. So that's also an option.
Thank you. That is a great resource.
Oh, and Nancy has a question. I can't remember, do article a day have question sets too?
For article a day, it does have an opportunity for the students to share in their book of knowledge. There aren't questions assigned to them, but you can develop them also. I do want to go back and share with you about the new feature of scope and sequence. So let me go back to that. And when we go into the different filters, we can look at that, we can revisit that on article a day. So here is the scope and sequence. I don't want to scroll down too fast, but if you kind of look here, you can do it by topic. You can do it by vocabulary. Here is the way to select your grade level. So if I look at topic, if we're looking at August, this is going to be what the sets look like. And if we scroll through, I like to start maybe as an introduction to a subject, maybe in 3rd grade, and then move on to 4th grade and then 5th grade. But let's go ahead and look at 4th grade. So here we're talking about animals, or we can look at houses around the world. Actually, this is one that I'm going to revisit. So we'll just look at that one.
And Stella, I think this is a really good time for a question. Apologize for the interruption. There was a great question from Jessie. How can I allow students to type their answer in the question set? Is that an option or no?
Yes, and Jessie, thank you for that question. When we get to the comprehension check and when we get to the activities, which is going to be the last part of our section, I will show you how to do that.
Another great question. Do they get progress reports on students if you create classes?
Gosh. Anne-Marie, this is so wonderful. That is in part 2. Yes, we're going to monitor progress, and I'm going to teach you that in part 2. Stay tuned. But I want to share this with you on vocabulary. If I go through here, and let's just pick September. I want to share this with you. I'm going to scroll down. I guess just anyone will do for now. Here is your focus word, and it tells you that all of these articles within this set are going to be connected to migrate. And if I look at this one, the focus word is going to be continent. Okay, so I did want to share that with you because that is a new addition to Readworks. So I want to go back to the PowerPoint. Thank you very much. I love the participation. That is article a day. I want to go to the next content type, which is the paired text. And just like it says, these are 2 texts paired together by a common topic, skill, or focus. Students will be able to apply the strategies from one text to the other and also apply the focus of one text to the other. This is great for identifying patterns, building vocabulary across content areas. And it's just wonderful to see, especially if you choose a different genre, they can see how just if you use a poem, you can contrast that with another reading passage. That said, I want to go to the live site and show you about paired texts. So remember, we're going to deselect, and we're going to deselect before we continue. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit, too much. And I'm going to select paired texts. And just one that we've been looking at, and here is just kind of scrolling through. I don't want to go too fast. So you see that this is one text, and this is the second text. There's our, we can add it to my list, or we cannot. I want to go through and share this with you. This is one article that we did This is on problems and consequences. And if I click on that, okay, notice over here, it tells you these texts have been paired because they both discuss one or more problems and their consequences. And this first one, Apple the Cat, this is a story about this little cat named Apple, and she's very mischievous. She asks her friends to help wake up the little girl because she hasn't had a treat in a long time. And so what are the problems that Apple has to go through? And then what are the consequences of that? And the second reading is Trouble at Reading Railroad. And this story is about two cousins who get together and they play tag and they play hide and go seek. But when they play Monopoly, they fight. So how are these cousins going to resolve that problem in not fighting? Let me go back. Let me share with you another one that we did. Ideas that solve. Okay, this is an introduction one that you might want to use. Ideas that solve problems. If I click on this and scroll down a little bit, okay, you'll notice this first one is I need quiet. And so what is the problem? And then how do you solve that? And what I like to do with some of these introduction articles is let's identify the problem and then let's brainstorm and see what solutions we can come up with. And we just talk about there's no bad solution. Let's just, right now, we're just brainstorming. And then the second one is a sticky idea. And again, it talks about problem solving. Okay, so what I want to do is go back to the PowerPoint. And we've gone over the different kinds of content. We've gone over the reading passages. We've gone over the ebooks that are associated with the reading passages. We've talked about the article a day and the routine and the paired texts. So if there are any questions.
There is a question, and I'm going to ask Rose to maybe clarify your question a little bit more for us. She asked, do you have a program for special needs students? And Rose, actually, I am a special ed teacher, so can you help me with your question a little bit more?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I was just thinking about the students that are not quite up to par with the rest of the students in the classroom. I don't want anybody to fall behind. So do you have anything that can probably keep them on track, rather, you know, for somebody who's reading at a lower level?
Okay, Stella, I'm gonna let you explain how, thank you so much, Rose. I'm gonna let you answer that question and talk about how the levels are different and how you can differentiate that.
Thank you so much, Rose, for asking that. That is a huge question that needs addressing. We don't want to let anyone fall behind. And what's great about Readworks is that this particular tool differentiates for every student. And as I go through the different filters, I will show you how we can do that and what Readworks offers so that no student feels like they're not being addressed. Thank you. All right, if there are no questions on content, we're going to leave content behind and we're going to go on to filters. Filters are going to be your best friends. We can filter by grade level. We can filter by topic. We have special collections. We can do text type. We've talked a little bit about the Lexile level, and now I'm going to show you a little bit more about that, and non-prose, which is part of text type also. Talking about the filters for the grade levels, filters are K through 6 and then 7 through 12. And as I mentioned, I use this for my adult classes. Maybe you can choose a second grade level article as an introduction. And as I continue through this session and talk to you about the different student supports, I will show you how you can make that progression and have the students make that progression with you. You have filters by topic and subtopic. They are broken down into science and social studies. We're going to talk about special collections, which are experts from American Museum of Natural History and Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History and Philadelphia Museum of Art. We have different text types. We're going to talk about fiction, nonfiction, prose, and non-prose. There's a Lexile level. Lexile is at the reading level of a student approximately. It's not exact, but it will give a range from 500 to 2,000. And that's what we're going to talk about. That said, let me go ahead and go to the live site and let's talk about filters. Let me go up here. I really appreciate everyone's participation. Thank you. All right, your filters are going to be kind of in your middle here. Here is the filter for the grade level. Notice we have kindergarten through 12. And if you just select maybe second grade, kind of to your point, Rose, depending on what you select for your filter, you have 69 different items to choose. So you can go ahead and look through them and see which one suits your purpose. I'm going to deselect that.
And Stella, Rose could assign different articles to different students, right? So if she had a group, one group could maybe be working with 4th grade level, another group could be working with 6th or 7th grade level, right? And kind of group them differently to help with the different grade levels, right?
Absolutely. And that is going to be in part 2.
Okay.
I know, everything is in part 2, but we have to get through the foundation of Readworks. But in part 2, we will talk about making assignments and creating groups and talk about all that good stuff. Yes, absolutely. Does that help?
Yeah, Rose, does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. And there was another great question from Lilia. And Lilia asked, is there options for Spanish, or can you change the language on these articles?
Ooh, we're going to talk about that and just kind of an overview so that you kind of can look to this when we get to that section. But we do have student supports in Readworks that it can translate the purpose and the instructions in 6 different languages. So thank you. Yes. It will not translate the article because the focus is going to be on learning English, but it will translate the purpose and it will also translate the directions. Thank you for asking that. Okay. I'm going to move on to topic. If there are any other, unless there are other questions, I'll pause.
So what if you can't make it to part 2? It's just, will part 2 be recorded where we can?
Yes, it will be.
Okay, good.
Yes, Rose, it will be in the PD portal for you. So you can, it usually takes about 5 or 6 weeks, and then you can go in and request it and take it as an online course in the PD portal.
Thank you. So here we have the topic. We have science, social studies, and arts, which is kind of going to be included in that STEM. And I want to go to science and just show you that science breaks down into earth science and life science, physical science, technology, and engineering. And what I want to do is I want to just share with you an article that we've been working on. So I'm going to deselect that, and I'm going to deselect that. And we're going to be talking about environmental justice. So environmental justice, and here is a great synopsis of this. It talks about the fair treatment on how the placement of waste disposal areas are made. This is great for discussion. Okay. Another article that we're working on is, or we have worked on, Lincoln and the 13th Amendment. Okay. So Lincoln and the 13th Amendment. We do know that this is part of our content standards. So as you scroll through that, you can see just the different articles that come up. Okay. All right, let me go back here. So we have world history. We've been talking, or we have in the past talked about the Holocaust, and then we have civics and government. And we can talk about, this was really very timely. So I'm going to go back up here, deselect that, and we're going to talk about the Constitution tells the states. Because in the news, we've been talking about voting rights, and we have already talked about it in Women's History Month. This is just an extension of that. This is the Constitution tells the states who has the right to vote. And we talk about, okay, well, the Constitution does say who's eligible to vote, but the states actually say how that vote is supposed to be conducted. And it was very timely that we were able to talk about that. Okay. And then as we go through this, we can talk about school and family life. And if you have parents in your classrooms, maybe they are feeling uncomfortable or they don't know how to talk to their children about certain topics. So we talk about bullying. We talk about how to recognize bullying. Maybe their child might be a bully and they don't know it. So there's an article on, how do I know if I'm a bully? Okay. And we know also that this is included in our content standards to include information about school and family life. And with that, I had my classes, I'm going to deselect that. I had my classes come up with our house rules. What do we do in our house? What should we include? Be kind, be respectful. Okay, so this again is a great article. And Rose, notice this is a first grade level article, but I used it in my adult classes as an introduction into talking about, well, let's talk about how does your family dynamic work? I hope that helps. Okay. And I'm going to deselect that. And as I continue through, this is a huge topic, and not to diminish the arts, but also there are some great articles on arts as well. And you can talk to your students about how music increases math ability, and who knows, maybe encourage them to take up a musical instrument. But I want to go ahead and talk about social emotional learning. This has been a huge topic, especially with the pandemic. And as I scroll down, I want to share with you, look at these different topics. We're talking about appreciating diversity. We're talking about empathy, goal setting, perseverance, relationships, solving problems. Okay, all of these are included in our content standards. And I have used several of them. One of my favorites, I just have to share this with you. This is Famous Immigrants. Okay, so Famous Immigrants. Okay, I talk about how one of the famous immigrants that I always refer to is Alexander Hamilton, especially since we've been talking about US government and Constitution and the founding fathers. So that always is a good discussion. And then when we talk about empathy, I'm going to deselect that. And when we talk about empathy, I might want to include, this was a good article, Me and My Habits. Okay. This also is really a good way for the parent to talk to a child about, maybe someone's a little bit different, but you need to empathize with them. You need to put yourself in their place. And this is great about sharing a story about two little girls that are friends and have been friends since first grade. And they have compulsive disorder. Both of them do. And so they can feel how the other one feels. They know what the other one is going through. And then there's this bully that comes around and teases them about it. So I like to use this as an introduction into empathy. And then another one that I like to share with you is going to be My Life Hasn't Changed. In some of my other classes, I also include this. My life hasn't changed. This is discussing perseverance. And this is a story about someone that was set on being an Olympic skier. They got into a terrible accident, and now they have a new goal. So not only does it cover goal setting, but it also talks about perseverance. So what I really like about Readworks is that there's so much in here that you just can go around and look for whatever you are interested in. I'm going to deselect this so we can talk about the next one and scroll down. Social emotional learning. This is where we were. Okay, and we have relationships, and we've talked about solving problems. One that I've done with solving problems is we started off with a fable as an introduction, and it was The Pitcher and the Crow, and you may be familiar with it, but there's a pitcher of water, but the crow can't access the water. So we go through as a class and we say, okay, let's identify the problem. And then we come up with the solutions. And one student will say, oh, well, the crow has a very pointed beak. So what can they use to make the water more accessible? And we go through those steps. So solving problems, and then we progress to how countries solve problems, and then how do we develop solutions? And then we have another wonderful filter here, holidays and events. Notice you have Hispanic Heritage Month, Native American Heritage, Election Day, Martin Luther King. I used it a lot for Black History Month, Women's History Month. Now I will share another lesson. I was very disappointed because I thought, well, this is where I should be able to find information about Memorial Day. So I looked here and I couldn't find any information on Memorial Day. And I thought, well, that's so important. I can't imagine that they didn't have anything. And what I want to share with you is that if you can't find it in one filter, deselect that and just go up here. And thankfully, there are close to over 2,000 different articles about Memorial Day. So just a lesson that I had to learn about in making sure that I don't give up and just go, okay, it's not under holidays and events. I guess they didn't do it. Okay. And then our next one is the featured partners. These are expert articles from the American Museum of Natural History, the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History, and the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Okay. Moving on to different text types. We have nonfiction, we have fiction, and we have poetry. I just want to share this with you. In my classes, I have done social injustice. And I need to deselect that. Here. It should be. Well, I'm looking for my poem. There it is, poems about racial injustice. Okay, so here you can use a different genre. Here's one poem, here's another poem. Okay, let's go back. I'm going to deselect that. Moving through. All right. And now we're coming to the Lexile level. I wish this was in a different color. If I could suggest something, it would be make this in a different color so it's more visible. But if you can follow my hand there, this is a sliding scale and it starts at 0 and it goes all the way up through 2200. So when I select, I like to start maybe at about 600. For some, we could even do 450. And as you go through, see how this one, even though I selected 450, it's saying that this is 760. So what you do is you scroll through and you look for that. Okay, and a lot of times it depends on what the genre is, because it does say 450 to 2200, but I will show you in some of the articles that there's a way to differentiate for your striving student and for your higher achieving student. Okay, so let me go back here to from here. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go back up. Those are the filters.
Please practice using the filters. Choose one filter and find 1 or 2 articles. Once you find the article, put the title of the article or the link to the article in the chat pod. So everybody's going to need to go to Readworks and see if you can find an article, 1 or 2 articles using one of the filters. So for example, you could use the grade filter or the Lexile filter, and then either put the title of the article or the link to the article in the chat pod. Anything to add, Stella?
That should probably do it. And I am ready to share the student version whenever
Well, let's give people a few minutes. And Jesse's been exploring, haven't you, Jesse? He probably downloaded a whole bunch of things to Google Classroom already. She says an article about the rainforest. So Jesse, be more specific. What's the title of the article on the rainforest? That sounds interesting. So give us the actual title of the rainforest, and everyone else will give you a few minutes. And Jesse says, okay, hold on. So let's just take a minute and take all this awesome information in that Stella's given us here.
Jesse, I'm so excited that you're exploring. Once you get on, you're going to find so much information.
And if you need help, let us know too, and we'll see if we can help you.
Definitely.
So Jesse says the content is the rainforest, and it's a paired text. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Oh, here's another one. See, people just need a few minutes to just find things. Oh, this sounds awesome. Poetry, fireflies in the garden. Oh, that sounds awesome. I
often use poetry as an introduction, just to break up the regular articles.
Yep. And Jessie says, oh, here it is. I think she's going to get us the actual title here. Oh, here comes another. It's called The Rainforest. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you so much. Holidays. Oh, Nancy says holidays, the history of Halloween. Oh, how cool.
Oh, I bet you your class is going to look forward to that.
Yep. And, Stella, I thought of something. When they create a Readworks account, they'll get updates and information from Readworks, won't they? Because I'll get emails saying new articles are posted, or if there's an update, right? They'll get that.
Yes, they will. Absolutely.
And sometimes Readworks has free webinars, everybody. Sometimes they'll actually have a webinar that teachers can join. So look out for that too. And then you can learn from them. So look out for that. And Sandy said she just registered for August 17th. Oh, cool, Sandy. Thank you for sharing. All right.
Oh, she did it. Okay.
Readworks.
Okay, wonderful.
Catherine says she's ready. Okay, I think we're ready. Stella.
Okay, we're going to leave filters behind, and we're going to segue into student supports. So I want to go back to the PowerPoint and talk to you about the next section, which is going to be student supports. And this is where you can really differentiate for each individual student. I'm going to talk to you about step reads and boost articles and challenge articles, collection within the English language learner. And we've already talked about the audio. Think about these supports as a bridge to help your student from where they are to where they want to go. Here are some other student supports. We have highlighting, annotation. We can enumerate paragraphs. We can use a focus strip, which is a new addition. We can adjust the text size, and we can have the questions read aloud. So specifically for reading passages, ebooks, and paired texts, we have step reads. We have the audio. Student can highlight and then annotate, and then they can enumerate their paragraphs, which is what we're going to show you in the live site. And I want to continue with showing you about the focus strip and also font adjustment and the instructions read aloud. I'm going to go to the live site. And let's talk about the view of the students. So remember, up to this point, I've been showing you the teacher view, okay? Okay, and here is going to be the student's name. Here is the name of the class, We will talk about all of this, these different tabs in part 2. I want to go ahead and talk to you about the student version. So I'm going to start off with a reading passage. So let's just look at focus what's inside. I want to draw your attention to these 5 call to action buttons. This first one will allow the student to adjust the screen. So here is the clean version for them. Okay. Or they can choose not to. It's going to be their preference. They can make the text larger, which is also going to be great for our sight challenged. We can enumerate paragraphs. I love this especially because when any of my students want to share information and talk about text evidence, they say, well, I found that in paragraph 3, and this is why I think this, or I'm not sure whether or not that's what I'm thinking because in paragraph 6, it says this. So when the paragraph is enumerated, it helps them keep track of what they're reading. And here is the focus strip. And I'm going to look at this. This is great for students that want to just focus on a little bit of text at a time so that they don't feel overwhelmed. Just a little bit of text at a time. They can go at their own pace. It's not a race. It's not a competition. Okay. We can deselect that. And we're going to split screen. This is also great because the student can see the article on one side, their vocabulary activity that they have to complete, and then their question set that they have to complete. Okay. Now I want to go back and I'm going to show you something else. Here's our speed modulator. Here's our audio. You can hit play. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and you can already see that the student has highlighted. So this is the way we highlight. We just click and drag. And in the student version, they have 4 different colors to choose. So if they want to highlight in orange, they can do that. Just click on the color. If they want to make a note, see, without the brain, we would not be able to think, feel, move, remember, or do all the things that make you the special person you are. Maybe off to the side. I encourage active participation in reading. Wow, I had no idea that the brain was so powerful. They can do that so that when they go back, they can look to see what they've added or see what's on this one. If I look at this one, if I'm scrolling down, you can see that she's already written, this is for question 2. So she's been able to highlight the answer to the question. Okay. So this is for that. I want to go to another article. And I'm going to scroll through here, going up a mountain. And I want to show you for a reading passage. You notice that it has SR1 and SR2, and this goes to differentiating for your individual students. We have the original passage, and then we have student reads is what SR1 stands for, okay? And what it is Step Reads 1 is a less complex version of the passage. And step reads 2 is less complex than step reads 1. The information is essentially the same. They still get the vocabulary, they still get the content, but maybe the sentence structure is a little bit easier for them. And quite frankly, what I've done with many of my classes is I just assign all of them because I don't think that it's going to hurt them the more they read. So if they want to read the original passage, start off with step reads 1, step reads 2, and the passage, I think it's all great. The more reading they do, the better, the more excited I am. Okay. So these are the different support systems under the reading passage. I want to go back to the PowerPoint. And that was for reading passages, ebooks, and paired texts. We're going to continue on. And I want to talk to you about article a day, what Readworks does to differentiate using article a day. There are boost articles and there are challenge articles. The boost article is represented by an apple, and the challenge articles are represented by a thunderbolt. And what I want to do is they still can hear it. They can enumerate the paragraph. They can use a focus strip. There's the split screen, the apple, and the thunderbolt. We talked a little bit about the translated instructions and the translated purpose. I will show you that. And we've talked a little bit about the book of knowledge and using sentence stems. And so what I want to do is, we also have the collection of ELLs. And the ELLs is the English Language Learner section. These are articles specifically for our English language learners that are going to be more concrete, more relatable, about tradition and about traveling around the world, about family life. And again, the instructions are translated and the purpose is translated. That said, I want to go back to our live site and I'm going to show you a reading article of The Road to the Revolution. If I look at The Road to Revolution, there it is. Road to the American Revolution. If I tap on this, this is what the student will see. When they see this as their assignment, you will notice that it gives you kind of like a tile of each article. They will see that it's 395 words, and they will see the different symbols, whether it's an apple or whether or not it's a thunderbolt, whether or not it's a boost article for our striving students, or if it's a challenge article for our higher achiever. Now they will read that the challenge article, it says, try these articles if you are really interested in this topic or know a lot about it. As an educator, you will know that these are articles that are going to be a challenge. They're meant to be a challenge for your either higher achiever or it's meant to be a goal. And the boost article, which can set the foundation. And like I said, I like to just assign all of them so that they get to read more. Okay. So just looking around, we can look at this one. This one is a challenge article. It has 831 words. So we're going to click on that. Notice at the top, we still have our text size. We have our enumeration. We have our split screen or our focus strip, and then we have our split screen. Okay. And I think to someone's question, they were talking about questions that the students can answer. This is where you will find that. Under articles, under article a day, we have the book of knowledge. And this is where they will say, I learned that this was not about tea at all.
So I wanted to see if you kind of wanted to just wrap up, and I wanted to give an opportunity for questions. Jesse did have a question. I am unable to type a response in the answer box. Jesse, can you explain a little bit more? Oh, I am in the article now, but I cannot type in the box.
And that's because it hasn't been assigned to you. You need to go ahead, and if you select that, you should be able to do that.
Yep, and she says, okay, I assigned. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Just let me go through the PowerPoint and just talk a little bit about some of the other features. We'll go back to the PowerPoint. And so we can talk about the different activities, and we're looking at just question sets, whether or not there's 10 questions or whether or not there's 5 questions, the inferring question set, the monitoring, or the text structure. This just breaks it down into different categories, whether or not it's cause and effect, or whether or not it's compare and contrast. I do want to show you this vocabulary because this is a special feature here. Just very quickly, I do want to show you the translation. So this particular student is Chinese. And so when you click on that, you can see that the purpose and the directions are translated. Okay. The actual articles are not, but the instructions are. Okay.
Where, I'm sorry, this is Lily. Where, can you go back for the translations? Where exactly did you click?
Okay, let me go back to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me go back here. Let's see. Yes, at the top. Do you see my arrow?
I do.
Where it has English, and this is where, and I will teach you in part 2 how to select the different languages for your students. But basically, you have 6 languages to choose. And so if I click on this, it translates the directions for them. And if I go back, it will show the instructions. If I go back here and I click, you can see that the instructions and the directions are also translated there.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right.
When we do Readworks Part 2, we can do the scavenger hunt, okay?
That sounds like a great idea. I just wanted to share this information for the next Readworks Part 2.
Yep. And yes, we are Stella's going to be back. Let me take a step back. And for those of you that are still on with us, let's give Stella a big round of applause, everybody. I'm going to clap my hands. Thank you so much, Stella. Phenomenal job. Can you tell everybody that she lives and breathes Readworks? Is that obvious? Not at all, right? It's not at all obvious.
I get really excited about sharing just the power of this tool.
Exactly. And it shows, Stella. So I do want to bring your attention to the fact that she will be back on August 27th. And I agree with Daryl. She is awesome. I agree. She is awesome. And so Stella will be back on August 27th to do part 2. And rest assured, Stella will be back. I'm going to have her come back and do some other things with reading because she's an incredible resource. What a rich presentation, Stella. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the lively interaction, and I love the questions, and I hope you go and explore Readworks. Have a great
day. I think they will. And I think everybody will be back, right? Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Tech and Tell.